Hello, it's Jessica Sporn. Some of you have asked me to show how I do watercolor flowers, and I am by no means an expert at this, but I thought I'd share where I am in my learning. So I start off, I have watercolor paper here. It's not very good paper, but it's good for practicing. I have what's called a mop brush, and I have my watercolor paints. So the most important thing about watercolor is to use a lot of water. So I make sure my brush is nice and wet. I sprayed the paints beforehand to activate them. And I'm just letting the brush do a lot of the work. So with a mop brush, you have a very fat middle of the brush, and then it tapers to a point. And I'm just using sort of a heavy hand as I start the petal and then tapering out as I get to the point. And with the wet on wet here, it's very easy to just go in and add some more drops of color. I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves, and I don't mind if some of the red runs into the green. I think it gives it more interest. And in a moment I'll slow this down and show you. So I'm going to press down, come to a point and lift, add a little more paint to get a little more color in there, and then I can use the very tip of this brush to show how the leaf attaches to the stem. I'm going to press down, lift up. So there are lots of tutorials on YouTube that show this, people who are far more accomplished than I am, but I don't mind showing you just sort of where I am in my exploration of this. So I'm going to speed it up now. I'm doing sort of a tulipy kind of flower. I'm not super happy with it. It looks kind of blobby, but I do fix it in the end. The reason I left it in is I want to show you how I'm going to fix the fact that the blue is really bleeding into the red petal in a way that I'm not happy with. Before I fix that, I'm adding in these sort of chrysanthemum-y type blossoms, and you can see I'm just adjusting whether I use the very tip of the brush or whether I add a little more weight to the pressure and get a wider stroke. Oh, that blue is really running in. So I dried off my brush and I'm removing paint. So with a very dry brush, I'm able to dip into the wet paint and just lift it off. And then I'm going to go back in with some wet paint, and I'm just going to keep going back and forth, kind of wiping off. And as soon as I create a dry edge, the red and blue won't run together anymore. Then I can add a little bit more blue into that blue flower without fear that it's going to seep into the red. See how it's just stopping right there? That's because the paint is dry and there's a barrier. Then I'm showing you this technique again with yellow flower. So again, the brush is doing a lot of the work. Heavy pressure and then lift and come to the tip. really like to vary the loose look of the watercolor flowers with graphic doodles with black paint. So the black paint still keeps the loose look and feel of the watercolor flowers, but it adds a whimsical touch to it that to me makes this page look very much my own. And then I'll also often go back into my watercolor flowers with another layer of the same color to just add some more highlights and definition and depth. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, for being a subscriber, and for connecting with me through art.